All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, in this lesson, I wanted to deal with the topic of, as you can see, chaos, death, and the real life purge. Okay, and have a couple of articles here. Now, I'm sure by now, brothers and sisters have already heard about about this new law, I guess it is, dealing with Illinois, and basically it's in essence almost like legalizing certain levels of crime. We're gonna read into it a bit and discuss it. Now, we've been saying for the past couple of years now that what they've been doing, as you start to see a lot of these cities drift into chaos slowly but surely, which now is moving a lot faster, is that they were systematically creating the purge, right? They didn't come out directly one day and just say all crime is legal for 12 hours, but what they were doing was starting off by allowing, first off, uh, um, I guess, quote unquote, crippling the police, which they did. I mean, majority of them are messed up anyway. Not all of them, okay, but also doing away with certain laws, changing certain policies and legislations that would allow, more crimes to go about, not prosecuting certain people, all of these things. I did a video not too long ago about how, I forgot what county or what state it was in, but they were basically saying that if it came down, like if you called in to report cases like rape or stuff like that, they had such a large, a huge backlog that the investigators wouldn't even, like, anytime close, like they wouldn't even get to your case. And and that was discouraging people. So in essence, what did that do to the rest of the people's minds? They were like, well, in cases like this, they're not even going to look into it anyway. Okay. But as you can see, today a hot topic was inflation. As they said, I believe they said it went up in August by 0.1%, which that caused the stock market to go into some decent level of turmoil, um, because it says that this inflation was hotter than they expected. Okay, and they say that apparently the only thing keeping it low, all right, or lower than it really is the so-called low gas prices, which they're already saying that those gas prices are about to start shooting back up come this winter. All right, because America's about to start feeling that pain of that energy crisis as well. And you have Mr. Biden to thank for that. All right, it says Biden, and now this is zerohedge.com. The articles are in these tabs. I've linked them in the description box so you can get access to them. But I just wanted to scroll through here and just look at a few of these headlines before um, diving into a couple of these articles. Okay, and I mean at this point there should be no doubt. Like it's very clear that we're living in very chaotic times. There's a drought going on. All right, around the world, there's an energy crisis, there's a food crisis, there's an inflation crisis, there's a cost of living crisis, there's about to be a labor crisis. Okay, I mean, pretty much everything is going bad. You're having natural disasters that are hitting on a larger scale. Okay, so the Lord is definitely turning things up, and it always happens. Sometimes things, something major happens at the beginning of the year, but most times middle to the ending of the years when you start to see these heavy things happen. Okay, you also have this here a nationwide rail strike, which they're saying that if that happens, that's going to cause a lot of trouble. Matter of fact, let's click on this. And matter of fact, hold on, let me go back. Let's read this portion right here. The administration is trying to understand what supply chains could be disrupted the most and how to utilize other forms of transportation to ensure commodities and consumer goods continue to flow across the country, because that is another. You have trucks, but you also have the railways, which is another major system in which goods are transported across the country to consumers. Okay, so all these things are happening at once, and we're only what, a couple of months away from the election. And this place, I mean, it's like a what you can use to imagine this place is like a pot, right? A pot that fell down and broke, and they picked it up and they taped all the pieces together. And now they're actually pouring water into the pot, and you're starting to see all the water leak out, and then certain pieces are falling. And you know, the second one water leaks out of one crack, that piece becomes loose, it falls out, the rest of the vase or the pot is falling apart. And that's pretty much what happened. The vase, which is America, did not just break recently. It broke years ago. And so far, the American country you've been living in was just a broken vase taped together. And now that is being tested against, having whatever liquid or water put in it, you're starting to see the leaks, you're starting to see the cracks, and it's gonna break right back down again. And this time you're not gonna be able to tape it and piece it back together. Okay, and that's what people are starting to realize, or at least that's what they should start to realize. Um, As you can see, it says Biden scrambles for damage control after disastrous inflation reports. Now, why are these topics of such concern? Why are they of such importance? They're of such concern and importance because they're going to start taking lives. Okay. And an energy crisis is a problem. Why do you think people are all up, antsy about it? Because it's going to affect lives. All right. And potentially kill people. So it's not something that we're just reporting on or doing videos on or letting you know about just so you know, oh, yeah, okay, just so we know. People's lives are actually going to be taken by this. When there's a food crisis, there are people that don't get food. And when they don't get access to food or water, they die. They can't eat, they can't survive. All right. If it's too cold in the winter and you can't afford to heat up your house or to afford food or to do either, guess what's going to happen to you? If you can't get any help, you're done. So these things are very quickly, people are going to realize how life-threatening these crises actually are. And that's when you're going to start to see people really, real desperate. All right, it's like when you, I don't know, you I don't know, you put somebody in like water and you start heating up the temperature and heating it up, heating it up, heating it up. For a while they might just be cool, but as it starts to get super hot, past humidity levels, and it just starts getting super hot, you'll start to see them react more. And that's what's happening, right? Because when they get super hot, that's when they feel their life being threatened. And so they have to start doing whatever they can to get out of there. That's the same thing. As these crises get super hot, that's when you're going to start seeing more reaction from people because they're going to feel their life being threatened. All right. So now let's dive into the first article. It says here Germany's power grid faces collapse as millions stock up on inefficient electric heaters for the winter. And now you're starting to see the darkness of the winter, the dangers of winter. So it says here maybe they ran out of firewood to buy. A few weeks after we reported, that Google searches for firewood exploded in Germany, ground zero of what is sure to be a very cold winter. And we're gonna stay tuned to hear what news comes out of there, but I mean, it doesn't look like it's gonna be good, and we know that it's not gonna get better. Even if it looks like it, even if they try to implement certain measures, it's not going to fix the problem because the problem is being sent by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it tells you in Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, that these plagues are like a arrow that's been shot of a mighty archer. Imagine the Incredible Hulk shooting an arrow through a bow. He bends the bow back and releases that arrow. That arrow is not going to do a U-turn. It's going to move at speed and hit its target, right? So that's the same way these plagues are not going to turn around. If you're waiting for the day when these one day you wake up and turn on the news and all of a sudden this they just tell you, oh, the forecast is clear, inflation disappeared. And for some reason it got up, it felt sick, and it went to use the bathroom and never came back. And everything else looks pretty good. The energy crisis is not there anymore. I don't know how it's not there, but it's just not there. And they just tell food, we have food for years to come. Everything is good. And that's not gonna happen. That's literally not gonna happen at all. You're gonna hear things get worse and worse and worse. And we're not saying that just to sound like fear mongers, but that's the truth. Okay. These things you're seeing are not gonna get better. It doesn't matter even if they come and put a band-aid on it and they come and make it look like it's good. It's not gonna get better. People came out of the demic thinking life was sweet. They came out in the peace and safety mindset. Oh, they lifted up the lockdowns. Oh, Omicron is not as deadly. Oh, we're good. Let's go back and continue our ways that we used to partake in. And now you're starting to see, whoa, 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 hold up. And we told you that as things get worse, people are gonna wish they could run back in time to previous plagues because the new ones are on a different level. So now you're getting hit, not with one, not with two, not with three, but with more. Okay, so it says the country whose electric grid will be crippled for the foreseeable future after Russia's decision to halt nat gas supplies via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline is now facing another crisis. According to Reuters, Germans could overload their power grid as they switch to inefficient electric heaters in an attempt to avoid gas shortages this winter. Damn. So you switching to electric heaters to avoid gas shortages, but in doing so, you just might destroy your grid. You might overload your grid. Utilities warned and they're fighting against time. They're fighting against time because as wintertime comes, if they don't figure out a plan, people are not gonna say, "All right, let me freeze while you figure out a plan." They're gonna start turning them things on. So it says here, utilities warned in an article published on Sunday. Fearing the worst, German households have been stocking up on electric fan heaters, including portable devices. Sales figures show amid fears that Russia could cut or further limit gas supplies in the wake of its war in Ukraine. Now, we got to wait and see what happens, right? Russia could or they could not. But at the end of the day, if you really look at it, whose fault really is it? Did Germany not realize that they depended on gas from Russia when they decided to go ahead and join this coalition to, sanction Russia and paint them as the boogeyman? Did you not stop to think, oh, wait a minute, this is the hand that feeds me. Let me not bite it. You know? Well, so it says the managing director of it's like a child helping a gang to rob their parents. You realize that if you help a gang rob your parents, when your ass goes home, there's no food at home because your parents don't have money because they got robbed by the gang that you helped. Like you forget that whoever it is you're trying to harm, you depend on the person. And now you find yourself in a tough situation and now you don't know what to do. So it says here, the managing director of the German Association of Energy and Water Utilities, BDU, told Daily Handelsblatt. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. some of these German names and terms be funny, man, the way you pronounce them. But it's interesting. So it says here that customers could be left with even heftier power bills if they do not use the devices sparingly. But who's willing to freeze? I mean, nobody wants to freeze, especially if this is like a super cold winter. It says, and they can overburden the power grids. For instance, when many households switch on their fan heaters in one part of the town at the same time on a cold winter's night, right? That can overburden the power grids. It says BDU or BDEW director Kirsten Andre was quoted as saying, she said she understood people's fears of cold homes, but some of the coping mechanisms could backfire. Now that's a problem, right? If you hear somebody telling you, "Oh, I understand your fears of a cold of freezing in your house," but if somebody's telling you "but" to that, that's a problem. I mean, damn. I mean, you mean to tell me that freezing in my house is not a good enough excuse that you need to have a reason to rebuttal that? But let's see what happens. It says Germany, along with other European Union countries, is scrambling to support homes and industries burdened by a further surge in energy prices after Russia halted supplies through the Nord Stream 1 natural gas pipeline. Alas, no matter what Europe does, it can't print nat gas or commodities, which is why Sheriff Suki, chairman of Tellurian, told Bloomberg TV that European buyers will ultimately be paying the equivalent of 120 to 150 per barrel for energy, regardless of source, for a long time. So you're going to be paying some high prices for a long time. All right. It says Europe will be short on natural gas supplies this winter and over the next several winters, Suki said, adding that in the short term it's going to be obscene. But I think that if everybody does the right thing, then over time, I think you're going to find all of the energy prices are going to equalize. Now, here, if you're banking on everybody doing the right thing, then that's not. I mean, that's not really certain, okay? Because people, Americans, Europeans, people in general, especially in this world today, they don't do the right thing. All right, you can't have a utopia. You can't have everybody agree on something because it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody's gonna find a reason to disagree. So if they're banking on the people to all just say, I mean, unless they introduce some certain mandates that actually force the people to have to follow these new rules, which some European countries are doing, right? You can't raise your temperature to a certain level. Certain stores have to be closed after a certain time. But if you're leaving it up to the people to be responsible, to say, hey, let me not turn on my heater this cold winter night because I think the next door neighbor is turning theirs on. So let me wait my turn and be more you know considerate about the crisis that we're in. If you're waiting on people to say that, then I don't think that's going to happen. It says, pointing out the obvious, Suki said that the high prices could result in demand destruction, which pretty much that's what I was reading an article that was saying that's what the Fed wants to do. They want to crush demand. All right, they want demand destruction. They want to lower the people's spending and all of that. That's why they're raising interest rates as well. It says we're short on energy sources in general, he said. So at some point you're going to find that oil, coal, gas, and renewables are going to settle around a certain level, and my suspicion is that it's going to 120 to 150 per barrel equivalent for all of these commodities. Um, what was left unsaid for obvious reasons is that demand destruction means thousands of people freezing to death. And that's, I mean, literal in some senses, because remember that you have people that are old, you have people that are young. When there's an energy crisis, if it gets so bad that just buildings in general cannot like afford to get the energy to turn on their heaters in the wintertime, think about how many babies are going to have a hard time surviving. You know, when you read back in like history, right, in the ancient world, wintertime was always a hard time. especially for newborns, especially for those that were younger. So if you survived the winter, it was like a big deal because of how bad it was. People that are older, people that are sickly, people that are young, infants, they need that, that extra warmth in order to help them. But if they got to go against the cold, harsh elements, which even people that are in their their prime years can still die from, they're at a major disadvantage. It says, to be sure, the German government has pledged that industrial users would be the first to be rationed in case of a shortfall, and that private households would be spared any cuts. But it remains to be seen just how those with political clout and money will fail to get preferential treatment to millions of German pensioners. And like we always say, um, don't look at it as, oh, that's all the way in Germany. I'm here. I'm in, I don't know, I'm in New York, or I'm in Cali, or I'm in, I'm somewhere, I'm in Florida, so I'm good. It's coming. It's coming all around the world, and it's gonna get you too. All right. Let's see. It says Klaus Mueller added that even amid very high gas prices, electric heaters would still cost users more than gas based central heating, which is the most common form of residential heating in the country. So, this is the first article. I mean, pretty informative information. As we always go into and show you that the direct, if you're paying attention, if you understand these prophecies and you see the direction the world is headed in, it's in the same direction as prophecy. Okay, Jacob's trouble is not a time of sweetness and comfortability. It's a time of destruction, and that's what these things are leading to. And it's good. It's becoming more and more evident. Now, on to the next article, which is more interesting. Right, this is and I'm like I said, I'm sure you've already seen this already and heard about it. But this is here. It says Illinois Purge is coming January 1st, 2023. Um, Somewhat of a clickbaity title, but that's okay. I mean, it's around the same ballpark. Now we have to watch and see what happens, because typically, I mean, in some cases, when information like this comes out, and a lot of people jump on it and feed into the hype, they sometimes tend to come out and reform, these kinds of, if it's a bill or whatever it is, they come out and try to reform it, or just do away with it because it's too much attention on it, and and all of that. And I believe they did that with one of the New York bills, um, dealing with what we call, like isolation camps or concentration camps, to be able to just take people out of their houses and put them in, in those areas against their will. And so much eyes got on it that they actually scrapped it, or they said they did. But anyway, let's read a little bit of this, because one way or another, this is happening. All right, it's already prophesied in Second Ezra 15, Second Ezra 16, and various other scriptures. So it's gonna happen. Um, and I was meditating actually this morning how they can only go so far trying to look like the good guys. At some point, they're gonna start throwing out certain legislations, throwing out certain bills, throwing out certain decrees that when you hear, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, what?" And they're not gonna turn around and come and say, "Oh no, we didn't mean that." No, they're gonna stand by it, and that's when you're gonna, whoa, whoa, are they allowed to do that? Can they do that? Those are the reactions that are gonna be coming soon, because Revelation 12 and 12, they're gonna come down with great wrath. All right, so it says here, state law will release second degree murder suspects without bail. The end of days. And you notice that things like this are usually themed with apocalypse, the last days, the end of the world, that kind of stuff, right? Because people know. It says an Illinois criminal justice reform law will do away with the cash bail system on January 1st, 2023, which means suspects charged with certain felonies, including second degree murder, aggravated battery, and arson, will be released without bail. And I was looking into it. I may be wrong, but I believe like say you have a situation where somebody, you know, somebody attacks somebody else without the intention of killing them, but in the process they do end up killing them, then they could classify, they could throw that under this category, and then they wouldn't, like it says, they wouldn't charge them, right? um or sorry, they would, that this doing away with this cash bill system would they would release these individuals basically without bail. It says aggravated battery and arson approximately will be released without bail. Approximately 400 criminal defendants. Now, think about it. What officer is going to want to do their job? What officer you think is going to want to get up and go to work, and they're going to lose power, right? They're going to say, look, so you mean to tell me somebody, I saw a video on this, right? Somebody invades your property and you call the cops, and the cops come, and here it is. You expect them to pull out his gun, point it to the guy, tase the guy, drag him off, cuff him up, and you see this dude reaching into this left pocket, writing a ticket. He just walks up, he, gives a ticket to the guy, and then he turns around, he looks at you, he gives you a nod, and then he walks back and enters his car and drives away. And you looking all confused and stuff, like, yo, my man, like, this guy is he's trespassing. That, well, all I can do is give him a ticket. Hey, there's a crime being committed. Oh, well, I gotta wait 48 hours. Okay, so that's all right. So what do you think that's going to do? It says approximately 400 criminal defendants will be released back into your community. Wow. You know what? Let me look up something. Let's look up aggravated. Was it assault or battery? Okay. Let's see, what do we get for this? Aggravated battery is one of the most serious forms of battery. It usually involves a physical act or contact with another person without that person's consent and with an intention to cause harm. Usually, this involves some form of serious injury. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Let's read that again. It says it usually involves a physical act or contact with another person without that person's consent. Well, guess what? If somebody comes and has a physical act or contact with you in whatever form it may be, right? They're gonna be let out. They're gonna be released without bail. Okay, so imagine you call the cops on, maybe, I don't know, Tyrone comes and he's harassing you and shit, and he punches you in the face or whatever the case may be, and you call the cops. I'm gonna call the cops on your ass. You going to jail. And you call the cops and they catch and release this guy, and he comes right back to your ass. And this time he's even more upset because you called the cops on him. Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think is going to be happening in this case? Second degree murder? Huh? Things are getting real, man. They're getting real. Keep playing around, but things are getting real. It says uh anyone sitting in jail right now with all these pending charges, they're going to be let out. Johnson County Sheriff Peter Sobzak said, the gates are open and they're going to be let out onto the streets. You hear that? The gates are going to be open. They're going to be let out into the streets. Yeah, they do. In the video, the officer said that. He said, look, you're going to need to determine what is appropriate, right? What means is appropriate to get this individual off your property, and if it's legal or not. So they're gonna let them out. So if they've been in there for some time and they've had some time to think, for whatever reason, if somebody ends up in jail, there's a reason. In most cases, somebody snitched on them, somebody called the cops on them, there was a witness somewhere, somebody testified, something happened, right? Whatever the case is, something happened and they're in there. Now they're coming out. I'm sure they have people to visit. Keeping in mind, why are they being let out? Oh, we got this new law reform, this criminal law reform. So pretty much for cases like this, that, and the third, we're just gonna release your ass. Oh, you mean to tell me you letting me out, but if I do something like this again, I'm good? Oh, Like that guy said, hide your wives, hide your kids. And it's really a serious matter. But many forms, if this goes through, you know, a high level of judgment is going to be going out. I mean, we have to watch and see. But what is the world? What is America going to look like by January 1st, 2023? There's still a couple months left in the year, and things are already still getting bad. So it says here, one part of the 611 or 611 page amendment to House Bill 163, a massive police reform initiation introduced by the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, is the Pretrial Fairness Act, which would abolish cash bail. It says the aim of the legislation would set free certain criminal offenders without having to wait in jail for their court date because they can't afford bond. Go, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the law in February, saying transforming the pretrial detention system. Oh, he signed it. Okay. So low-income people aren't thrown behind bars while only the wealthy walk free, diverting low-level drug crimes into substance treatment programs and reducing excessive stays in prison. Advocates for the abolishment of cash bail view it as a pillar of institutional racism within the criminal justice system. It says this, and that's kind of like when they had the defund the police, right? No justice, no peace, defund the police. So they did the whole defund the police situation thing, and then they turn right back around and say, yo, hold on 1 second. The cities are getting too dangerous. Bring them back. Bring them back. So let's see what their reaction is for this. It says that's just inequitable that some people get to be free because they have money and other people have to remain incarcerated, which has all kinds of terrible consequences for people's ability to work, for their housing. Their whole families suffer, said Ben Rudel, ACLU of Illinois, according to WLS. Instead, a judge would issue pre-trial release conditions for offenders, something local pastors have been pushing for, saying the change is necessary to improve the criminal justice system. Okay. Oh, let's see. All right, let's see. All right, maybe I'll read a little bit more of this. It says here, because it's a fairly lengthy article, and we don't have to. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but that's why I linked it in the description box. So if you haven't read it already, you can have access to it and go through. It says, however, Hanley says the law prohibits judges from considering each case on its own merits and applying the law accordingly. It says the Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Act, SAFE-T Act, would restrict which crimes a person can be arrested for and would free those in custody for 12 offenses, including second-degree murder, aggravated battery, and arson without bail, as well as drug-induced homicide, kidnapping, burglary, robbery, intimidation, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing and eluding, drug offenses, and threatening a public official. Once again, what do you think is going? What officer is going to want to go to work knowing damn well this whoever it is can look him in the face and threaten him? And they're pretty much limited in what they can do. It says even though aggravated battery is a violent offense that is a forcible felony, a person can get probation for it. Champion County State's Attorney Julia Ritz said to Wix, it's not a detainable offense under the new statute. And it'll be interesting if other states start to adopt this, this kind of reform, or something similar. That'll be very interesting. Let's see. It says here, imagine the defendant who murdered his wife, to whom he no longer poses a threat being released because of this ridiculously limited legal standard. Um, yep, Grundy County Sheriff Ken Briley told WLS that police would not be able to arrest people for certain misdemeanors, such as trespassing. Today, I can arrest them if you sign a complaint for trespassing, Briley said. January 1st, I'm not going to be able to do that. The law says I have to write him a ticket and leave. Come again? Hold up. Let's picture this, right? Let's picture an extreme scenario for a second. Somebody calls 911 because they hear breaking and sounds in the next door house. The police get in there and they catch a criminal, right? And then they catch whatever, the victim is tied up, and the victim has a cloth around their mouth, and the criminal is inside the victim's house in their kitchen or wherever they at, TV on or whatever the case may be. The officer walks in there and says, here it is. He finds out, so clearly you are a trespasser. You broke into this house. And then now he says, all right, well, I'm gonna write you a ticket, sir, and then you can continue about your business. Right? You have to write him a ticket and leave. So whatever that victim is gonna suffer, well, that's just what it is. And this, I mean, well, according to them, this is gonna make the crime situation law more equitable. It says judges may no longer issue a warrant when a defendant fails to come to court. Instead, an absent defendant must next be served with a court order asking them to appear, and then fail to appear a second time before a warrant may be issued. One part of the law would create a co-responder programs in cities across Illinois, which would be made up of law enforcement, mental health professionals, and social workers. Man, these guys are funny. But oh wow, look at that. Looks like that was pretty much it for the article. Yep. So as you can see, I mean, this is what's going on. We're not making it up. It's literally right there in your face. And you can read it for yourself. So this is what's going on. And like I said, every day that goes on, more and more of these prophecies feel real, closer and closer and closer, because these things are starting to happen. And now you're starting to see certain series of events that are gonna bring about this theme, all right, that we're seeing or that we read about Jacob's trouble taking place in. So this is 2 Ezra 16 and 22. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish, which means to die, of famine, which is, clearly famine. They're not going to have access to food. It says, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, which today the modern day sword is a weapon. So it could be a machete. It could be an actual sword. It could be a gun. It could be a bat with spikes on it. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. So you're gonna have dead cast out as dung, like just like you could walk down the street and you could see the feces of a dog or a bird poop or whatever. You're gonna be seeing dead bodies that frequently. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give, and that's who tills and sows the earth? Farmers, right? But things are gonna get so out of order that societal function is gonna drop. It's gonna stop. The tree shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. How are they gonna be desolate of men? Because of all the destruction, natural disasters, famines, chaos, violence, civil unrest. It says, so that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. That means that a lot of people are gonna have to die. Today, you can't avoid seeing people. There are people everywhere. I guarantee you, it's impossible for you to, especially if you live in somewhere like the city, or you live in New York, or you live somewhere around Jersey or whatever the case may be. It's impossible for you to step out. There's not gonna be one day where you leave your house and come back and not encounter one person. It's impossible. It's never gonna happen. I mean, not in this time. You're not gonna. You're not gonna step out your house and not see one person and then come back home. You might the second you step out your house, you might see a neighbor. You might get in the elevator and see somebody. You open out your front door and there's somebody walking to their car, some woman pushing a stroller, somebody walking their dog, somebody cursing somebody out. There's always people around. So imagine how bad it's gonna be to where, as it says here, one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice because of how destitute the place is gonna be. All right. And shalom, shalom, the elder brother Manata Zakba, and shalom to the rest of you who are listening. Yahweh Shem Shai Brakathum. Okay, so it says here, verse 28, for of a city there shall be 10 left. 10, you can count 10 on your fingers, right? that's very few. It says, and two of the few, and cities are big. It says, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rock. So that tells you a little something about what is going to be the condition on the earth at that time. That people are going to be hiding themselves, in order to survive. It says, as in an orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives, or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard, which is in the law. Right, when you read the law, I believe it's Leviticus 19, that when you harvest or when you reap, you're not supposed to reap everything, right? You're not supposed to reap the corners of your field. When you're gleaning your grapes, the clusters, you're not supposed to take every single one. You're supposed to leave a little bit here and there, for the poor, the widows, and the strangers. Okay, so is likening how few people there are, okay, or there are going to be onto a situation like that, right? It says, or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days. So that even so is letting you know is that comparison, right? So just like this, even so in those days, there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. So when they're searching your houses, who are going to be searching houses? You're going to have people, 2nd Ezra 15, and 15 and 15 on down, 16, 17, 19, 20 verses. They go into that, right? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall spoil his goods. And then also in 2nd Ezra 16, when you jump down around the 68th to the 72nd verse, it talks about how they shall cast them out of their houses, and they shall be like madmen, sparing none. So you're going to have troops that are going to be doing door-to-door searches during the hour of martial law. You're also going to have just people, gangs banding up, and just individuals going through, breaking into people's houses, going into different neighborhoods that they suspect will have food or certain resources, and searching their houses with their weapons. They're going to come in there, like in the movie The Purge. Yeah, I think it was the second one. You had Diego, who was saving up and got a shotgun and came, and basically the 2 women, the mother and her daughter, that lived in the same building. When the purge started, he broke into that house and he let them know real quick that it was going to be Diego's night. Now in the purge, in the movie, I believe he actually got killed because some people that look like freaking special agent forces broke into the house at that time, and started blasting and shooting everybody. But in real life, some of you women might face Diego. Okay, you might get a taste of Diego's night. Okay, this ain't gonna be a movie where some guy comes up, pulls up in the car. Yo, get in. You don't know the guy, but he's just like, get in. Well, should we get in the car? I mean, we don't know him, but shit, it's better than these other guys. No. You're gonna be stuck in that apartment. Diego's gonna have his shotgun out, and he's gonna have Diego's night. Because in real life, you don't have happy ever afters like you do in movies. In the movies, things just always somehow seem to work out. Here it is. The odds look 99.9999% against you, but some way, somehow, at the end of the movie, you make it out alive. Everything is all sweet. You finally made it. You went through some hard times, but you made it. That's not real life. Okay? Real life, when that person starts stomping you out, nobody magically appears and hits him with a bus and tells you get in, and then they treat your wounds. In real life, the Lord might have it to where he does stomp you out and you end up in the spirit world. In real life, he might just hit you to the point near death, but you don't die. In real life, you feel what it's like to have a broken nose and broken bones. You're not just looking at it on a TV screen. Like you see one scene where the guy gets gun butted with the back of an AK. His nose is broken and he's spitting out blood. Put, I ain't gonna tell you shit. You can go kiss ass, and you're like, yeah, damn, this guy's tough. You go get your nose hit with a back of an AK. You see if you tough. Because you actually feel those things in real life. And in the movies, it just looks like one scene, he's like that. The next scene, he's getting his wounds treated. In 2 hours, his wounds already healed, and he's, there's a time skip. He's back to the way he was. He's strong. He's working out. In real life, it doesn't go down that way, man. Real life is a different scenario. It's not a movie, man. And this is why we stress the importance of having, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua inside. You want that you want that deliverance outcome, you got to have the Lord. But if you don't, well, so going back to the precept, 2 Ezra 16 and 32, it says, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel there through. Why? Because there's going to be so few men left. People are going to be drafted to the war. People are going to be killed. It's going to be so few. It says, the virgin shall mourn having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn having no husbands, because they're going to become widows, because their husbands are going to be dead. Their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right. And basically, man, I mean, this is what the scriptures say, as you can see. This is what the scriptures say, as you can see. So, you ought to prepare your mind for these things. All right. And this is going to come as a very, very major shock to a lot of people as they start to see things get worse and worse and worse. And that, more than likely that gold and silver is going to start skyrocketing as well, because people are going to start realizing that the Fed does not have a solution for this. And once they fully set in their minds and they get out of the state of denial, them richies, right? Those richies who buy silver and gold in freaking $100,000 increments and billions and millions, they're gonna buy it up. They're gonna buy it up. The prices are gonna shoot up. And then when it comes to food, you already know what happens. People start to hoard foods. I mean, look at what they did with the toilet paper and hand sanitizer. That was toilet paper and hand sanitizer. People bought so much they didn't even need it. What you think is going to happen when it comes down to food? You're not going to go to the store, look on the shelf, there's nothing there, and you see somebody with 2 carts full of everything that's on the shelf, and you're just going to let them walk by? That's not going to happen. Okay, so as these things get worse, people are going to get more violent. People are going to be more on edge. As you more and more crimes are going to begin committed, heinous crimes. So, hey, as the scriptures say, redeem the times, walking circumspectly, not, as wise, not as fools, but also redeeming the times, for the days are evil. All right. So I'm pretty much going to end it there. Like I said, the articles are in the description box, so you can get access to them there. And as the Lord said, watch as well as pray. So let's see how things turn out, going into the end of the year, into the beginning of next year. But Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.